Everyone has something they're passionate about. I was obsessed with boy bands in my school days, and I have friends who got hooked on Korean dramas. But what's the deal with pushing your interest on others? Worse yet, some people insist on doing this to those who can hardly say no. It's really annoying. But I'm not backing down. I'm Megan, a 40-year-old part-time housewife living with my husband. I married Matthew, who is 1 year older than me 7 years ago, thanks to an introduction from a mutual friend. Matthew is career-focused and very sincere. He's incredibly kind to me, which made me wonder how such a great guy remained single for so long. Matthew told me that I was his ideal woman. I'm assertive and take actions on my own. Many have found that not cute and broke up with me, but Matthew seems to like that about me. I was thrilled when he told me that, but I only understood why after getting married and spending more time with mother-in-law. Mother-in-law is someone who is obsessed with something year-round, and she tries to push it onto the family. Refusing her can make her go into a frenzy, so we usually just go along with it. Matthew grew up constantly being pushed to do something by mother-in-law, so a bossy woman like me who gives clear directions was probably a relief to him. When Matthew and I started dating, both his parents were absorbed in a new religion. I don't think that's bad in itself. Matthew said that when his father got sick and bedridden, a friend zealously recommended this new faith. First mother-in-law, then father-in-law converted. I understand the need to cling to something when feeling vulnerable. If it brings peace of mind, that's fine, and father-in-law did regain his health. However, pushing it onto others is a different story. When I met Matthew, his parents tried to convert me too, but when I said, I have no interest in joining that faith, if you're going to push it on me, I might have to reconsider my relationship with Matthew. Matthew chose me without hesitation.
You really are reliable, Megan. I trust you far more than some deity whose existence is uncertain,
he said. I was really happy at first, thinking Matthew had left his religious beliefs for faith in me. Looking back, I realized that was all it was, a transfer of his faith. Before we got married, Matthew once told me,
if we have kids, you'll probably just forget all about me.
He wasn't thrilled about having children, likely because he knew I would prioritize them over him. I should have taken his words more seriously. After tying the knot, we moved into an apartment about a 30-minute drive from my in-laws. They invited us over soon after. Up until then, we had only met them outside, so I was a bit nervous about going to their home. I even feared they would try to recruit us into their cult-like religion. The one time we had visited before, their living room had this huge, eerie statue representing their god. But what greeted us this time were stacks of cardboard boxes, all of them from the same company. Oh no, it's that infamous multi-level marketing scheme. They sell everything from health foods to cookware, detergents, even underwear. A high school classmate of mine was involved in this MLM. She once called me to a cafe and gave me a lengthy pitch, even though we weren't that close. Just thinking of her made me uneasy. There you are, Megan. We have been waiting for you. My mother-in-law greeted me with a beaming smile. Then led me straight to the living room. My father-in-law was there too. On the table were assorted pots, detergents, and cosmetics. Yep, just as I thought. What's more, that creepy god statue was gone. My eyes couldn't help but dart to where it used to be. Oh, we tossed that thing out. They kept taking our money and it got stupid to keep believing.
Exactly,
added my father-in-law.
Time to focus on something that actually makes money.
So suddenly it's all about multi-level marketing, huh? Turns out my in-laws were more interested in money than in any sort of divine belief. One of my friends actually knows a woman involved in that MLM, yet she's never tried to rope me in. She simply likes some of their products, and as far as I'm concerned, it ends at, let me know if you want anything. But with my in-laws, it's a different story. Look at this pot, cooks food to perfection and locks in all the nutrients. And it's only 500 bucks. Here it comes. I responded without missing a beat. Sorry, but a $5 pot for a sale does the job for me. That's being penny-wise and pound-foolish, she retorted. Enough already. So how long have you been using this pot, mother-in-law? When I asked, my mother-in-law proudly stated, proudly, For almost a year, one pot does it all and the food turns out great. But both of you had alarming blood pressures and cholesterol levels at the last community health check, right? So the pot isn't making you healthier, is it? As I replied, mother-in-law turned beet-red. What are you nitpicking about? I'm just stating the facts. I started to leave, but noticed that Matthew, my husband, and his father were nowhere to be found in the living room. I heard voices coming from another room. I went there with a bad feeling and saw Matthew finishing signing some paperwork. His father was taking it from him. Matthew, what on earth are these papers? It turns out they were contracts for a subscription service for cleaning products and health supplements that are part of a multi-level marketing scheme. I asked his father to give the paperwork back. No surprise, he didn't.
These products are amazing. You'll understand once you subscribe.
I remembered hearing the same line from an old classmate at a cafe. Why should we commit to a subscription for products we have never even tried? If you really recommend them, shouldn't you offer samples for free first?
You won't get the value of these products until you pay for them. Freebies won't let you understand the quality.
What? That logic made zero sense, but Matthew seemed almost hypnotized by his father, his eyes glowing.
Look, Megan, sure, they're twice as expensive as store brands, but if Dad recommends them, they have to be good, right?
Is he just weak-willed or does he easily sway when someone is assertive? Convincing him was pointless. I made sure it was Matthew's money being used and decided to let it be. But letting it be turned out to be easier said than done. Boxes started to arrive filled with these products. The health supplements didn't list any ingredients and the detergent caused an instant rash. A pan we never ordered showed up too big, too heavy, and completely impractical. And of course, the pan's cost was on the bill. Matthew also got called to assist at product presentations at his parents' house, ruining our weekends. His parents even asked me to buy their unsold inventory. I reached my breaking point and called my mother-in-law and, "You're still family even if you're living separately. It's only natural for children to help their parents, right?" She said, "Fine, since Matthew is your child, I'll leave it to him to help you, but from now on, I'll have nothing to do with any family events or ceremonies like weddings or funerals." I declared over the phone that I was cutting ties and hung up. Ever since then, I've ignored all calls from my in-laws. I didn't block them completely thinking about emergencies, but now I get tons of voicemails. "You're feeling as a wife for not supporting our son," or
"We'll make our son divorce you."
Either way, I'm painted as the bad guy. As for Matthew, he was initially torn between his parents and me. But once I started avoiding the subject of my in-laws, he gradually sided with them.
Dad and Mom seem really fulfilled, and it feels good to see the family united. Megan, you would understand if you tried. Why are you so stubborn?
At that point, I considered divorce and told Matthew I would be spending the upcoming holidays at my parents' home. I used to stay at my in-laws from December 30th to January 3rd for the first 3 years of our marriage, but not anymore. Why? Because my in-laws angry that I hadn't converted to their New Age religion and even got Matthew to leave it, tried to forcibly take us to their religious facility on New Year's Day. So I thought it wouldn't be an issue to skip this year as well, but then a message from my mother-in-law arrived. "We're holding a cooking class at our home on the 30th and 31st to celebrate the new year. Come and help." Really? Who's gonna go for that? Sticking to my decision, I headed to my parents' home on the 29th. What shocked me was learning that my in-laws had been calling my parents for the past 6 months, trying to sell them multi-level marketing products. At first, it was just few $10 products. My mom didn't want to spoil my relationship with my mother-in-law, so she made the purchase. Then, without asking, the amounts of products started to increase, reaching about $200 per month. When I asked my mom why she hadn't told me, she said my mother-in-law claimed they were financially struggling and she felt it would be rude to tell me. According to Mom, they sounded quite desperate. I couldn't care less if they're not making money from their pyramid scheme. I'm not going to sympathize. I immediately called my mother-in-law. "Sending more products without consent, isn't that fraud? If this continues, I will sue." I made sure to set the boundary right there and then. She rambled on, but I didn't care. Of course, I recorded the entire conversation. After that, I went grocery shopping with Mom. We cooked some New Year's dishes and the three of us enjoyed watching TV together. It was a relaxing end to the year. My parents listened to my story and suggested that divorce might be the best option. On top of that, an old friend I reconnected with during the holidays said they're starting a business in a few months and could use a secretary. I didn't respond immediately, but I realized that if I got a full-time job, I wouldn't have to worry about my life after divorcing Matthew. I haven't come to dislike Matthew, but I no longer want a husband who's so indecisive, who won't stand up to his parents, and who can't support himself. I decided to talk it over with Matthew after the holiday break, but then Matthew, who had returned to his parents' home, called me on New Year's Eve in a voice that almost sounded like a scream.
Look, I know you're not comfortable with my parents, but please help us out.
He said. When I heard the details, it turns out that they had been busy with cooking classes and hadn't done any housework at all. They are expecting relatives tomorrow and the house is dusty, laundry is piling up, and they don't even have enough food for the New Year celebration. According to him, his mom is now panicking.
Dad thinks all these chores are woman's work and won't lift a finger to help.
He added, hearing this, I get the sentiments, but no thanks. I couldn't help but laugh. Well, your dad still has some outdated views on women. Why don't you just help?
The thing is, Dad gets angry if I try to help. He insists that you should be doing it.
So you're just going along with what he says?
Well, Dad says I don't have to do anything, and I've been enjoying a break at home.
Basically, Matthew's the kind of guy who sticks to whoever is most powerful in the situation so he can take it easy. Pathetic. For a moment, I did feel a bit sorry for his mom, but she's the one who raised him this way. Your mom has been managing by herself ever since we stopped staying with them for the holidays, right? She'll be fine.
No, it's different this time. We're planning to pitch our products to our relatives, and if the house is this dirty, we won't even be able to serve the food for the New Year celebration.
So people will lose interest in your products?
Exactly, Megan, you get it.
Then you should do it. I cut off Matthew's pathetic words and shouted, if your family is so great at sticking together, then you, your dad, and your mom should work together to clean up and do the laundry. Before I knew it, his mom came on the phone. Megan, please help us. If you do, I will give you half off on our products. Is she out of her mind? Fed up with all of them, I said to mother-in-law, tell Matthew I'll be sending the divorce papers. I'm tired of all of you. Shortly after, I got another call from Matthew.
You can't be serious about the divorce.
You would better be off with one of those women from your multi-level marketing scheme. Team up with your parents and make it work.
No, the thing is, it's not selling as well as I thought.
Apparently, he had bought a large stock of products and was already tens of thousands of dollars in debt. In that case, your family unity is more important than ever. Good luck with that. After saying just that, I hung up and blocked Matthew's number. Divorce turned out to be surprisingly easy. His parents heard what I had said to Matthew and recommended he start dating a high-achieving woman in their network. Very typical of Matthew to be so easily influenced. But honestly, I can't imagine that any accomplished woman would want to be part of such a useless family. So that whole thing apparently went nowhere. In the end, I heard his parents' debt ballooned to nearly $100,000, forcing them to sell their house. To make matters worse, they had been pushing their products on friends, acquaintances, and even relatives, causing endless complaints and disturbances at their new rundown apartment. Well, they had it coming. As for me, I secured a settlement and property division after the divorce. His parents paid up readily, ensuring that their son's potential marriage to a more suitable woman wouldn't be hindered. Their debt must have increased, and I can only imagine how they feel. Now, I'm working as an office assistant in a company started by an old friend. She felt bad for me and introduced me to a few eligible men. One of them and I have been hitting it off lately. Matthew never wanted kids, but it feels like this new man and I could have a peaceful life together. Maybe we'll even try for a child. I'm seriously considering cherishing this relationship with him.